Hey people, good morning, good evening, good lunchtime, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to sunny Edinburgh, and I've set myself a little bit of a challenge. Vlogmas doesn't seem to be going on this year, so I thought I might try and do 25 videos in 25 days, so one for each day of adverts, that's not right, Advent, and just give you a few hints and tips about Ecamm and totally not connected to one another necessarily, so all over the place. And the first one for today, so tip number one for day one, and we'll see how many days I get through, is that you can change your scenes on Ecamm using something like this. Just a very cheap presenting clicker. I've got loads kicking about, and as far as I can tell, they all work. I know that a couple of people like Jan Tech and Felipe, they use a little clicker called a flick button, but exactly the same principle for this. You don't need to necessarily have a Stream Deck where you're looking for all of the buttons. You don't need to do keyboard shortcuts. For me, the keyboard is a bit difficult because I've got my microphone on a low boom sitting directly in front of me, so a keyboard shortcut is kind of out the question really. I'm bound to hit the wrong one, so for me it's just easier to grab my clicker and move between my different scenes on Ecamm. So it's as simple as that, to move between the scenes, and I can also do that standing up, so I guess that's a bonus as well. But for me it's just that I can have my hands relatively free and people can see the clicker. I don't mind about that. I'll move to another transition and then maybe do a screen share and something a little bit more clever, because you need to be careful about a couple of things when you're using a clicker like this. So if I was actually running a presentation, and that is a keynote presentation directly above me, if I try and click through my keynote presentation at the moment, it's not going to work because the last place I clicked with my mouse was Ecamm. But if I come up to my keynote presentation in a different window and just click on that keynote presentation once, the power of the clicker is now transferred to the keynote presentation. Don't know how loud that was, but that's my keynote presentation going on now. And I can just flick through my slide deck on my keynote presentation, and I can go backwards and forwards on the slides if I want to. And it's as simple as that. So there's me running through a slide deck, and that could be anything at all on your slide deck. And here's one that matches my current look and feel. And I can flip through them all till I'm happy that I've finished my slide deck presentation. Then what I might do, when you're not looking, is click on my Ecamm scenes again. So I've just clicked on the Ecamm scenes window, and that puts the power of the clicker back into Ecamm again. So when I click it this time, it's not going to move forward a scene, or rather a slide in my presentation, it's going to move forward a scene. So here I am again. So that was my sort of tip, was that actually you could go into your dusty old drawer and find a clicker that maybe somebody gave you at an exhibition or something like that, or used years ago. Chances are it's going to work. This one's got a whole load of fancy features on, like wireless pointing and stuff like that, which you really don't need. It's also got a couple of extra buttons though as well, so if you wanted to get really clever, you could go and try and program those buttons. Certainly you could use something like Keyboard Maestro, which is a program that Alec Johnson can tell you all about. So if you go to Alec's Take One Tech channel and look up Keyboard Maestro, he'll tell you all about that. That will allow you to pretty much program buttons to do anything you like. But for me, I'm just using them to go forward a scene or backwards a scene. So again, if I go forwards a scene through my transition, I might want to bring on a couple of guests. So here come my guests to talk about my slide deck that I've got above me, and if I wanted to go back to that deck, I could come and click on that deck and play about the deck as well, or not, because that's the last slide in the deck, so don't do that either. Don't go back to the last slide in the deck, make sure it's still playing at the end. So let's go back to play, and then we'll go move through the deck. So lessons in clickers, just be a little bit careful that you didn't get to the last slide before you want to go forward and backwards on them. So I can go forwards and I can get to where I was before, but remembering not to go beyond this one because it's the last slide in the deck. So valuable lesson learned by me on the live. So again, if I want to move by the next scene now, I'm just going to come back and click on the Ecamm window. I've clicked on the Ecamm window and I can go to the next scene.